Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the issue regarding whether Aadhaar can be used, or the data that is stored in Aadhaar, whether it can be used for the police investigations or not. What does UIDAI say about this particular scenario, and what is the current matter in which the police is trying to use the data for the investigation purposes. So let us first try to understand the context of this particular scenario or this particular issue. So UIDAI actually has opposed a petition that was sought by Delhi police in the Delhi High Court, and the petition has sought directions from the High Court to allow the use of Aadhaar data to help it in the carrying out investigation process. The petition would allow investigator to actually match a suspect's picture and the chance print, that is latent fingerprints, that they have discovered from a crime scene, and they can match these data from the Aadhaar database to identify the criminal or the murderer in this particular case. It can help police to identify the accused in the case of murder that we are talking about. However, UIDAI, the statutory authority associated with the Aadhaar data, it has said that it is not technologically feasible to accede to the request of police in this particular scenario. So in this context, let us try to understand that what are the different sections of Aadhaar that says about this scenario, and what are the powers that is given to the High Court as well as other authority in this particular regard. So first let us try to understand what is the plea of Delhi police. So Delhi police actually has sought a plea under section 33 subclause 1 of the Aadhaar Act. This clause says that judge of High Court can order the disclosure of information on identity in certain cases from the Aadhaar database. Not only this, the section 33(1) also says that where this particular section is being used or invoked in case decision is being given by a judge of High Court or higher authorities, in that case section 28 subclause 2 and section 28 subclause 5 will no longer be valid. So what is section 28(2) and section 28(5)? These are the sections that has been inserted in the Aadhaar law so that the privacy of data can be maintained for the individual. So section 28(2), it says that UIDAI, it shall ensure confidentiality of identity information and authentication record of individuals. Similarly, section 28 subclause 5 says that no UIDAI employee can either during service or even after the service, after retirement, can reveal any information that is stored in the CIDR, that is Central Identities Data Repository, or authentication record to anyone. Anyone here refers both to public individual, private individual as well as any government servant. So these sections basically tries to, what we can say, upheld the data privacy or data confidentiality of the citizens of India. However, section 3(1) is an exceptional clause that is used in case-to-case basis. Now, what is the background of the case in which police is trying to investigate using the Aadhaar data? So case refers to year 2018, when we have a robbery in a jewelry shop, and when the jewelry shop owner wanted to stop the we can say stop the robbers. At that time he was murdered by the alleged robbers. The police at that time, during the course of investigation, has recovered 14 chance prints from this spot and also footage from the CCTV cameras. However, these were not sufficient enough for the police to identify the actual culprit, robber that is responsible for the murder. So the chance impression pictures did not match with any of the data. The reason behind this was that the failure of police was that whatever impressions and picture they have got from the crime scene, they were not able to match any of the data with already the data that is available to the police. And it is due to this reason now the investigators want to cast the net wider, want to increase their sources of data using Aadhaar's biometric database, and they are hoping that by looking at Aadhaar database they might be able to identify the actual criminal. So what about the data that are stored with UIDAI? So during the process of enrollment, at the time of enrollment, UIDAI stores two kind of data. One data can be called or categorized as a demographic data, while the other data can be categorized as a biometric data. Demographic data stores information like name of the individual, date of birth of the individual, sex, gender of the individual, as well as the address of the individual. While biometric data refers to 10 fingerprints that is collected. Apart from that, the 2 or both iris scans that is being done, and also the resident's photograph. So these are the biometric data. Also, as per the government mandate, Aadhaar is considered as a proof of identity, which is basically to obtain any subsidy or services that is provided by the government. Aadhaar, again to remind you, is not considered as a proof of citizenship. Now, what about the confidentiality of the data? So, there is a section called as Section 29 in the Aadhaar Act that prohibits UIDAI from sharing core biometric information. Core biometric information we discussed, it is fingerprint, iris scans or any such biological attribute with any agency for any reason whatsoever. There is no such exception. That means it does not matter what reasons we are talking about. It has a blanket, you can say it has produced a kind of blanket ban on the sharing of any such biometric data with the authorities. Similarly, there is one more section called as Section 33, which says that or which allows the disclosure of only identification information. Keep in mind here, we are not talking about biometric information. We have Section 33 allows the disclosure of identification information. Identification information refers to photograph or any authentication record, but no core biometric information. However, there has been a exception that has been inserted in this particular section or in this particular act. The exception is on the ground of national security, where the Aadhaar Act mentions that in case there is a matter of national security where the data need to be accessed, in that case an officer who is not below the rank of secretary to the central government can order disclosure of information on a case to case basis. So, this is the only exception, national security basis. Apart from that, the sharing of data with any public officials or any investigation agency is prohibited as per this particular act. Now, in the beginning of this session, we discussed that UIDAI has said that apart from the procedural problems or apart from the mandate, there is also certain technological impediments that will not be helpful, that prohibits it from sharing the information with the investigating agency. So, what is the technological impediments? So, first technological impediment is that the UIDAI says that it does not provide any kind of 1:n matching, and it is not possible under the current technological architecture of UIDAI. So, what is 1:n matching? 1:n matching simply means that police can supply or investigation agency can supply certain information to UIDAI. It can be in the form of photograph or it can be in the form of fingerprint scan, and then Aadhaar will have to Aadhaar database, you will put this particular fingerprint scan and match with all the data that is available in the Aadhaar database, and then finally you will get the hit where you have the match of fingerprint. So, such kind of matching is called as 1:n, because you have one fingerprint and you are matching with this n number of fingerprints data that is available in the system. However, this kind of matching is not currently possible under the technological architecture of UIDAI. So, what kind of matching is possible? UIDAI says that current technology permits only 1:1 basis of matching, for which it is necessary to have the Aadhaar number of an individual. That means police can supply the Aadhaar number to the Aadhaar database, and then from that Aadhaar number the UIDAI can access all the relevant stored information that corresponding to that particular Aadhaar number and can supply the information to the investigation agencies. So, that kind of matching is called as 1:1, because you have the number, you match with a one single set of data associated that number, you get the information out. And apart from that, the biometric information such as iris scans and fingerprints that is based on technology's standard procedure that are collected by UIDAI at the time of enrollment is also not suitable for forensic purposes. So, how we can say how beneficial such data or such information will be for investigation agency is also a question of doubt. So, what we can say in conclusion, that as per the UIDAI statement, it says that Aadhaar based authentication, it was essential to have both live biometrics as well as the Aadhaar number, and the authority can establish the identity of an individual only through the Aadhaar number. If that is not possible, it is technically not feasible to even provide the photograph of an unknown accused, the authority has said. So, that means the only way how Aadhaar can help or UIDAI can help in investigation process if the authorities are able to supply with the Aadhaar number of the possible accused. So, I hope you understood about the nitty-gritties of this complex problems or complex issues that currently is in Delhi High Court. We have to wait and look at that what Delhi High Court gives, what kind of order or what kind of judgment Delhi High Court gives in this particular issues. Then we'll talk about that in later future. So, that is all for today. Thank you very much.